let's assume that we have a matter and there's an invoice pending for $242.95, and the client actually receives a settlement. Like, for example, in this matter, James versus Jill, the matter is closing and Jill is actually paying James, say, about $650 as settlement. How do we handle that in ULaw? So to enter settlement in ULaw, you would click on the action button and you would say a settlement payment deposit in trust. So let's assume that the settlement was, say, about $650. Now, obviously, you need to put it in trust. So the modes of payments are the following. Say, let's assume Jill gave a check and the check number is 778. You put it obviously into trust account and you do an apply. Now, when it's time for you to, raise an invoice and also make the payment to James, ULaw clearly tells you that out of that $650 that you have received in settlement, it's possible for you to actually, you know, write a check for $407.05 while recovering the rest of the money from the trust as your invoice. So let's do that. So you will raise an invoice. I'm going to mark it as paid because I know I'm going to move money from trust. And once you do raise an invoice, you will actually know how much money you can transfer from trust, because your email that you would have got from ULaw would have exactly told you how much it is. So that's the invoice. And it tells you that the balance in trust is $407.05. You can go back to ULaw and you can actually transfer your invoice fee from trust to your bank account. Once you've done that, you're now ready to pay the remainder amount as a check. To do that, you will click on the action button and you'll go to settlement payout from trust. You'll say, I'm writing a check which is 7790 and to James, and you can say refund. You will see that this goes down to 0. So now if I go ahead and actually generate the invoice, mark it as paid, you'll see that this invoice will cover everything. So this invoice will say how much is the total invoice that you actually raised so far. In terms of retainer, it will tell you what money came in, what did you refund, what was the retainer that you used. It finally tally out and clearly lay out everything. So let me also go ahead and showcase the ledgers. So if I go into accounts and if I do trust ledger for James, I also do a general ledger for James. I'm going to keep the two documents next to each other, and we'll see how the books were balanced. You should see all the details here. So if you remember, $650 is what that came in as settlement. Now we raised an invoice first. So the balance that the client actually owed was that much. Then the $650 came. That was what is in trust. Then we transferred that much from trust to to general. So that's what was left in trust. Now in general, obviously the client owed you 0. So total that you invoiced and total that the client paid is that much. And there was a remaining dollar of $407.05, and you actually wrote a check 7790 to James, and that's how this came down to $0. Finally, just to wrap up this, if you had to produce a trust receipt journal, so you can go to journals and say trust. If you do a download, you should see the two entries where, you know, this is where $650 came in as check. And if I would do the trust disbursement journal, you should see the two payments that actually went out of a trust, you know, for the same amount. So the first one was the invoice, the second one was the settlement. So to summarize, you know, whenever we had a settlement check that came in, we used the settlement payment deposit in trust, and then we invoiced so that we could take away the money from trust of what funds was there, and then finally what was left over and we had to pay back to the client, we used the settlement payout from trust feature to actually pay